Hi, how's everybody doing today? This is Sean, and I'm here with a response video to Global Spiritual Revolution. Bishop Larry Gaynor is a teacher of Yahshua Christ Jesus. He is a bit of bishop for a while, and he has the best take, in my opinion, of what's actually going on in our economy and why our banking systems and stock markets are going to crash. Um, he's responsible. There's only one family responsible for all these things that are going on, and nobody has the nerve to come out and call him out but this guy and myself. The Rothschild family is responsible for slavery. They started the KKK. They started every war that we've known, since the beginning of our existence. They've changed their name a few times. The Bible even talks about this family. They control everything. And the last time I looked into this statistics of what their value is, they have over $700 trillion and they own 2/3 of Earth. So they're powerful, the most powerful of all the families, and they have 13 families that they operate under. And this ain't no conspiracy theory. This is well known and documented, and the bishop's going to talk about this. And he has a better way of teaching. His apoplectic approach is the word of Christ. He doesn't go by any other meanings. He doesn't care if you hurt your feelings or any of that stuff. He's teaching the foundation of how to be a spiritual warrior, and that's what we need to do. Even if you do not believe in God, God believes in you, and the devil definitely believes in you. So, you need a spiritual armor because of the things that we're going through right now. So let's take a listen. I'm gonna do this in segments because I would suggest, if you really are getting involved in religion and the churches that you're going to aren't talking about Jesus or not talking about God, Jesus at all, you don't go to those churches. No church that you go to, if you're a Christian, if that church doesn't speak about Jesus, Yahshua Christ, you get up and walk out, because they're not doing the word of God. They're not preaching the correct way, and they're going to lead you to damnation. And I'm not affiliated with this fella in any way, shape, or form. I don't make any money off of any of this stuff, but he does have courses, and these courses are like 3 hours long, as you can see, and he's very detailed, and he's definitely a man of God. He's out there teaching, and then he gives the free courses on the internet. But you can become a pastor through his teachings. So I'm staying away from being a pastor and stuff like that, because I'm flawed as a person. I smoke cigarettes, I use profanity, and I have a temper sometimes with people, like out in the street. If they say something to me, I'm not the kind of person to back down, and I'm always being truthful. And my station, my channel's not monetized, nor do I ask for any money or any of that stuff. So I'm glad to share anything and everything I can to help us grow better as a better community, and and live it in a better world. That's all I'm trying to do. I have nothing against anybody. I have stuff against radicals that are been propagandized by the teachings, like in the 70s, with all these gangs and stuff, white gangs, black gangs, biker gangs, all that stuff. It spread doctrine throughout our communities, and that's what the Rothschilds want. They don't never want black and white people to come together to know that we all are enslaved, that we're emancipated, but we're not liberated. So he speaks about that also. So let's listen to what he has to say, and I'm going to be done talking for a little while. I want you guys to go and check out this channel, though. It's called Global Spiritual Revolution, and I like this fella, and I don't promote a lot of people, so I'm just trying to help, and I just want you to see what other people are saying and how they articulate their thoughts, besides myself and my commenters, my people that are on here that make comments. Thank you, and let's take a listen to what he has to say.
The revelation of revelation. So God, as we lay foundation, has instructed me to expose one family. And I said this before, I will continue to say it. 99.9% of the Jewish diaspora, they are absolutely beautiful people. The 1% that has caused mayhem and destruction and global discombobulation for 2,000 years, their time is up. Christ came to give you power to crucify this second nature called the world, so that your original true nature as the Spirit can conquer your second nature called the world, your flesh. The revelation of revelation. The original 5 families was not the Italian commission, the mafia. The original 5 families started through 5 sons of Amschel Mayer Rothschild. The term Rothschild means red shield, but that's not their real name. Their real name is the Bacharach family. Capital B-A-C-H-A-R-A-C-H. The Bacharach family had helped design the Sanhedrin Council. According to one of the most powerful Jewish historians, Flavius Josephus had said, God bless you, Pastor Harris, that in the volume 1 of the Antiquity of the Jews, both the Pharisees and the Sadducees, through the house of Heliel, was designed by the bloodline of the Bacharachs during the time of Yeshua the Christ. The Bacharachs, not the Jewish people, the Bacharachs are the synagogue of Satan. Not the Jewish people, not the 99.9% of the Jewish people. One family who has RH positive and RH negative blood going back to the serpent. Not Jews, one family, the Rothschilds. Centuries later.
Now, I have a question to the bishop, because he just said something about RH negative blood and RH positive blood. Well, I have RH negative blood, and I don't know if it's rare or whatever, because I had to find out because I'm having surgery done, and on my neck I need to have surgery done. But as we know, I'm prolonging it, and I'm trying to get stronger, and I'm doing good, and working out and doing my best. I just had a lot of surgeries hit me at one time, and it's taken me a couple times to get myself bearing. But my mother married this fella in 1971. I was born. My mom was married to my dad, and his last name was Kubach. And when I got to a certain age, my mom changed my name to Sweeney, because my father wasn't around. He was violent, and my mom had to move from him. And my grandmother and my mom moved to Florida, so they changed my name, and I didn't, care about it and stuff. And at first, it was like my mom said that my dad passed away in a car accident, which was not true. But she didn't want to hurt my feelings, and she wanted to protect me, so I understand. But my mom was a kind person, and other than my dad, I don't know what's wrong with him, but my grandparents on my dad's side were very kind people. They were loving people. I remember they spoke Polish to each other, and they spoke Yiddish and German. They could speak 3 different languages, at least, because my grandmother was speaking German to them, and then on my mom's side, and my mom was also from Germany, and she said she was Jewish also, because her mom, brought her over here because she was Jewish, and they had numbers on them and stuff, and she came over to America, and my mom was grandmother was born in 1916, so she she spoke a few different languages also, um, and communicated back and forth. So I had this Bible my mom had gotten from my grandmother on my dad's side, and it's written in Polish. I think it's Polish. It looks Polish to me, and they were from Poland and Slovakia and Yugoslavia and all that places like in that area. That's where my dad's family was from, and and there's not a lot of people named Kubach in America, so that's why my mom changed my name, and I never asked her why, because she had passed away about in 2010. I was taking care of her, but I always wondered about that because he was saying about this blood type, and then I know one thing. If we're like, I don't fucking know how that could possibly be. That who knows, but I don't. I hope not. Jesus.
In the year of 1501, the Bacharachs had changed their name to Bauer.
Oh.
Capital
B-A-U-E-R.
E-R. Some pronounce it as capital B-A-U-E-R-E-R. So then 76 years later in 1577, the Bauers became the Rothschilds or the Rothschilds. They're not even Khazarian.
Jeez.
Their bloodline is Turkish, not Hebrew, Turkish, not Jewish, Turkish, and their bloodline is from central Turkey, masquerading as Jews. Let's continue to lay foundation. Here are the names of the first 5 commissioned demons, long before there was an Italian commission that started in 1931. Nathan Mayer Rothschild was sent by his father, Amschel, to London, England. James Rothschild was sent to Paris, France. Thank you, Pastor Lanier. Solomon Mayer Rothschild was sent to Vienna, Austria. Karl Mayer Rothschild was sent to Naples, Italy. And Amschel Mayer Jr. was sent to Frankfurt, Germany. London, England, Paris, France, Vienna, Austria, Naples, Italy, and Frankfurt, Germany would later produce the allies of Serbia and Russia and Montenegro, France, Belgium, Great Britain, including Canada, Australia, New Zealand, India, South Africa, and all of the British dominions and commonwealths, including Japan, and Italy, and Portugal, and Romania, including the United States, Cuba, Panama, Greece, Siam, S-I-A-M, Liberia, China, and Brazil, including Guatemala, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Haiti, and the Honduras. It was Nathan Rothschild over London and James Rothschild over Paris, France, would control through their bloodlines the Allied powers during World War I. The remaining brothers, their generational bloodline, Solomon Mayer Rothschild, Austria, Karl Mayer Rothschild, Naples, Italy, and Michel Mayer, Frankfurt, Germany, would control the Central Powers from the Austrian-Hungarian Empire to Germany and Bulgaria. So, as the bishop had said on Tuesday night, half of the Rothschild family controlled the Allied powers of the West, and the other half of the Rothschild mafia had designed and controlled the central banking system of the Central Powers. In other words, one family that controls 75 to 80% of the world's financial markets through commerce, real estate, and trade has caused every war for the past 2,000 years, and their time is up. The revelation of Revelation, the coming fall, ladies and gentlemen, of the global financial system. In 1791, the Rothschild dynasty gained control of the American money supply through their agent, Alexander Hamilton, who was the...
I would just like to say that I'm glad that Vice President Burr shot Hamilton. The more I read about that guy, the shit that he did is a lot of reasons why our country's messed up the way it is economically, and why we don't have Manichaeism in America any longer. And that was a financial system. Well, the way Manichaeism works is that everything's produced by us. We make our own products. We supply our own country with, and the citizens in that country with all the things that we make here, and we don't import anything. We hardly that's how it used to be. That asshole Alexander Hamilton introduced and wiggled away into world trading economics, and that's something that is destroying America, because that prime example is when I was growing up, everything was made in America. Hardly anything was coming in from China. And then as in the 90s, the late 90s and mid 90s, 2000 to present time, more and more things were made in China. And now we can't even make masks here if we get some kind of thing that goes on. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't agree with the mask, but you couldn't even make them here. So that kind of stuff destroyed our country. And this fella is 100% on about Hamilton. And it was good that Burr shot his ass.
First Secretary of the Treasury under the administration of George Washington. The central bank in the United States, called the First Bank of the United States, had a 20-year charter in 1791. The U.S. Congress refused to renew the charter in 1811. So the Rothschilds designed a war in the following year called the War of 1812 to pit the United States against Great Britain over the British violation of American maritime rights that ended with the exchange of the ratifications of the Treaty of Ghent, capital Ghent. The Treaty of Ghent, signed on December 24th, 1814, where Great Britain agreed to relinquish claims to the Northwest Territory of America. All conquered territory was to be returned, and commissions were planned in order to settle the boundary of the United States and Canada through both admiralty law of land and maritime law of the sea, through commerce and trade. So the War of 1812 forced our nation to renew the charter in order to resurrect a central banking system, which the founding fathers did not want us to be under from the first Constitution. The coming global financial fall. The United States, to this very day, is still controlled by the British Crown. King George III had said that the United States is a free, sovereign, and independent nation, only being subjugated to the English crown. The Treaty of Ghent, capital G-H-E-N-T, was activated, actually, going back 300 years, between 1545 to 1563, through the Council of Trent, T-R-E-N-T, which was the 19th Ecumenical Vatican Council, where Pope Paul III would then, 300 years later, through the Vatican, through his bloodline, would activate the Treaty of Ghent, G-H-E-N-T, from the Council of Trent, T-R-E-N-T, to give birth later to the Act of 1871. Here we go. Where the United States for America becomes the United States of America, a Vatican Crown corporation. Not only did we become a corporation in 1871, but the United States for America, that became the United States of America, became a portfolio, a financial corporation of the Rothschilds through the Act of 1871. Who's responsible for that? A deep state president by the name of President Ulysses S. Grant, along with Pope Pius IX, whose real name was Giovanni Maria Ferretti, capital F-E-R-R-E-T-T-I. President Ulysses S. Grant, Pope Pius IX, with pressure from the Rothschilds, attempted to destroy the first Constitution going back to 1776. That was ratified 3 times thereafter in order to make America an artificial entity, a portfolio to international bankers. The revelation of revelation. The coming fall, listen, of the global financial system. I want everyone to concentrate tonight. So we go from the United States for America to the United States of America, and thereby we incur a national debt. This is where George Washington, during his presidency, had designed a two-party system, Democrat and Republican. The term Democrat or democracy comes from the Greek god Democ, D-E-M-O-C, a demon god of the people, for the people, and by the people. The term republic or republican is the demon god of the state, Republia, R-E-P-U-B-L-I-A, a demon god of the state. It was not God's perfect will for us to have a two-party system, which are two heads of the same snake. Follow me. Alexander Hamilton created a third party called the Federalist Party, led with Rothschild money. It was John Jay who created the manumission. Remember that term, manumission, capital M-A-N-U, mission, secret society. Because John Jay knew that slavery would end, so he needed to create a new redesigned slave, which means slavery did not end. Slavery continues because the 13th Amendment was never ratified. Now, you have in 1863 the Emancipation Proclamation. Well, the term emancipation does not mean freedom. Neither does it mean liberation. Why did Lincoln not?
When they're talking about liberation of liberatios, is what the Romans called, and that means complete autonomy from any type of anything. You're completely free. You're totally autonomous. And we obviously, as the languages have changed over the thousands of years, or English has changed, and a lot of people don't know that J was invented, was discovered in the 14th century by some Italian scholar that was actually dyslexic. So, it wasn't Jesus, it's Joshua, because there was Y. They use Y's, Jewish Hebrew language, and things of that nature. So things are changed around intentionally and unintentionally, but the fact of the matter is there's a lot of the Bible is the only thing that speaks 100% truth about what's going on, and all the things that people tried to debunk out of the Bible, are actually being they're wrong, because they're finding the landscapes of this of descriptions of land that was supposed to be in the Bible, and they're finding that, like Mount Sinai, they found the ark, they found the actual place where Jesus was crucified, and there's a trail of, because there's cracks in this place on these mountains, so it's like there's a lot of cracks, so the water flows down into other parts of the rocks and stuff, so they know that people were crucified there because there's blood trails from it. And I'm not saying it's from Christ or whatever. Obviously some of it is from Christ, but there's also other criminals that's got, that's blood from there too. And Wyatt, I think his name is Wyatt, he discovered a lot of this. He found the ark. He found the place, like I say, where Jesus was crucified. And there's other two scientists that found Mount Sinai. And that also is being protected. There's like a fucking fence or something around it. The guy was showing it on TV. It's a huge fence. You're like, wait, you're just walking. All of a sudden, you get to a part of the mountain and it's all fenced off. And that's because they, most of the people that are in charge of what's going on, they already know the true history of the world, of Earth, and the Earth is bigger than they want to. That it's a lot bigger than we think it is. There's also the Antarctica. They won't let you go in that area, and there's all kinds of speculation that there's already people that's over there, and there's also speculation that's where the angels fell, that were cast out of heaven into that area. And then you get these myths about how fire was made and all this other stuff, because that's when humanity changed. When we discovered how to build a fire and or make fire, and then build the wheel and stuff like that. That technology, according to this, the evolutional type parts that people think, that's why it's so wrong. We are spirits. And George Barkley, I read a lot about George Barkley, and he at Berkeley, he's a genius, And what he was saying, and sort of, well, not isn't sort of, but what he was saying is that we all come from the imagination from God. God imagined us. We were made first, before the earth was made, before the angels were made, before any of it, because He imagined it, and then that's why He made earth for us. And of course, the devil runs the earth. This isn't God's. Nobody ever says, "Oh man, the devil did this." It's always, "Oh, why would God let this happen? And why would God do this? And why would God?" They never say, "Oh, why would the devil put a tornado on somebody?" Or why would it? Because that's the reality of things. And they even have it all. Everybody, they have to tell the truth. That's another thing. And the way they do it is change out things. So you're always going to have people like, "Well, the Bible isn't accurate." Yeah, there's Thomas missing from the Bible, the Gospel of Thomas. That's up, Gnostic teachings, and that's straight teachings from Jesus. That's basically the Gospel of Thomas. It doesn't even say anything about the crucifixion. It doesn't say anything about Jesus's life. It doesn't say anything about His miracles that He did. It talks about with Jesus, His perils, and how He said stuff. And that's why I also think that there's a Gospel of Jesus He wrote Himself. And it's been found, and there's no way that they're going to let that out. So that's my opinion. So another thing, before I get distracted of getting into it, because I like history, and I go into history books and buy old books. I have a couple books that are a few hundred years old, and I read them, and then I read modern stuff, and it's just stuff that I've seen in my lifetime. Like, say for instance, we had statues of Lee, Ulysses Grant, and all these different people, all these statues of anything. Just say anything. Let's say there was a statue of Mickey Mouse, and everybody knew that statue was there for 100 years and more, and everybody went to go see the statue and go to into the park or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's wiped out. People decide, hey, we ain't going to have no more Mickey Mouse statues, and they take it all down, and they take it out of history. So no one will never know that was there unless you had a picture of it, and then somebody will be like, "What's that?" And you're like, "Oh, that used to be the place where the statue of Mickey Mouse was at," and it's gone. And that's what they did in history. But imagine thousands of years of doing that. Like this craziness, this notion that the sun is 93 million miles away, and the moon is 250,000 miles away, and all this ridiculous mathematical science fiction type stuff that you can't apply to reality. And this is what this man's teaching us. There were spirits. There is no color. There is nothing like that. That's why we all can communicate in some fashion, form, or another. I like the old 60s and 70s, and early 80s Chinese movies where the guys are kung fuing and stuff like that. Because when I was a little kid, we used to wrestle and do that kind of stuff, we watch it. And I can sit there, and there's my favorite series of all time, and I suggest you guys and ladies check it out. It's called Zatoichi the Blind Swordsman. And he is a blind swordsman, and he puts down fighting. Matter of fact, the legend goes that his sword, he's Japanese, his sword is what beat the Chinese. Without him being in that war fighting, they would have lost. Okay, that's how good he is as a swordsman. So he repented from his bad doings and goes around, and he's a masseur, and he likes to gamble, and he's blind, and he drinks sake, and people mess with him, or they mess with his friends that he made there and their gangs, and he sorts them out. But the story is, compassionate, but I don't even have to read the subtitle. I can see by the expression on his face and on the characters' faces what their feelings are. That's universal because we're universal like that. It's these other devils and the Luciferians, and it has to go with even some of the other videos that I've been making exposing this Jeffrey fella, Marsh fella, and the Dylan fella, and all these people, exposing them because it's all wrong. Because their spirit, they're caught up in Luciferian, devil worshiping things, either aware of it or unaware of it, or they're being used. But the Jeffrey guy's definitely aware of it, and then he's sponsored by Freemason Luciferians, and that's why he can do whatever he wants to do. And the same with this Dylan fella. And this is what this man's talking about. And as I tried to explain it, in the way that I talk, because I'm just a regular person, I'm not ignorant or anything like that, and I'm not trying to come off as pompous. So I let people that study this stuff their whole entire life, which I read a lot about things, and I take courses on TV to learn different languages and to get back to learning Latin again, because I used to do Latin, and then growing up as a Roman Catholic, the sermons were done in Roman Catholic Latin. It was done in Latin, and then they started doing it in English. But it was a sin back when I was growing up to not say the Latin ceremony, not speak Latin when you're doing the prayers and stuff. The preachers and the priests and stuff, but they changed it because they don't want people learning Latin, because you'll be able to read older texts and realize that this is a grift that these people are running on us. And the more you learn, the more languages you learn, even if it's a little bit here and there, the more open-minded you are, and the more ability you have to do research in other areas of your interest in different languages that are telling you the truth. Because a lot of books that are censored aren't censored, if they're written in German or French or Italian, or any of those other type of languages, they're less censored on the open market. But English, because a lot of people besides English, America, that's why our educational system is going down, because I don't know how it is now, but they used to give you the ability to one, Latin was, you had to take Latin, just like you had to take English. And then two, you get to pick a language to learn how to speak in like 8th grade. They start doing that. So that's all changed, and that's what stuff has to go back to. With Christianity and even other religions, they focus on education, but proper education that's going to help you become closer with God and also live a better life and have the ability to do reasoning and to ability to overcome obstacles in your life. You have to have a sound mind, a strong body, and a warrior spirit, and that's what it all comes down to. And if one of those three things are off, your karma's off, your balance is off, whatever we're going to call it. I don't believe in karma. Like I say, God's coming down to sort this out, Yeshua Christ. But that doesn't mean that we got to stop living, and that doesn't mean that you shouldn't know what's coming, So, and you don't go to these banks and take your money out. That's what they want you to do. See, what you don't understand, a lot of people don't understand, is these small banks are guaranteed to have, you're insured up to $250,000 in your account. Okay? If you have $1 million in the bank, yeah, I would open up other bank accounts, 4 or 5 other bank accounts, and distribute it that way. That way your money's covered. But what they want people to do is to panic, go to the bank, take your money out of these small banks. The small banks will crash, and then you'll have Chase Morgan, or JP Morgan and Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, all the big boys will come in and buy these banks up. Look, they just dropped $30 billion into FRC, and FRC stock went from $185 a share down to $12.50 a share. I'm personally waiting for it to hit under the $10 range, and then I'll go ahead and buy me some shares and just ride it out. Because for $5, what the hell? If it hits $45, or $50, that's a $45 profit, which it's going to, because somebody like Warren Buffett may come along and buy it, but they don't half away okay, to give things perspective, if you want to do business with Warren Buffett, for instance, and this is all fake money, by the way, none of this money is real. It's a fucking fake. There's no gold behind it. There's no silver behind it, which this man talks about. There's not even a petrodollar anymore. It's a fake fiat. We're literally playing with Monopoly money. You're better off going down to Walmart and buying some fucking Monopoly games. Get the money out of it because it's the same thing. Same with Bitcoin. It's all fraudulent. It's fraudulent, and the people in the world have allowed this to happen because they can go and get stuff with stuff that doesn't matter. That's why I always say we're living in a fake reality, because nothing is real. Like the money, I was born in '71, and Nixon took us off gold and silver in that day, and it wasn't supposed to be permanent. It was supposed to be a temporary thing. Everything these fucking creatures do. Sorry for my language. I'm sorry. See, this is why I can't be a preacher. I'd be up there just dropping bombs like that, not thinking. But I think if I was to get in church, and do proper business, I would. The Holy Spirit would be in me, and I wouldn't do that. But I mean, I think the Spirit. I know God's in me, and I'm baptized and stuff. But as I say, I use profanity sometimes because it irks me. Because the smallest percentage of these people, I would say, there's probably about 5,000 of these creatures all over the world, and there's billions of us. Allegedly 8 billion people or whatever. That's why I say the world's bigger than it is, that they're telling you, because that's a lot of people. And who knows if it's true or not. Everything is fake and lies. So you got that kind of stuff going on all throughout the world with this Ponzi scheme. Everybody has this fake money, and everybody uses this fake money, and then all of a sudden the fake money, they're like, oh, our economy's going to crash because we ain't got no more fake money. The whole concept of it is so ridiculous and outlandish that it doesn't match the reality of things. It doesn't matter how much money you print, because none of the money that you're printing is backed by any gold or silver or anything worth the money it's printed on. The ink is literally worth more than the monetary value on it. That's why people are going and buying silver and gold, because that's what it's going to go back down to. They do not want Trump or anybody like Trump. This guy could run for president and they wouldn't let him go, because the first thing that Trump is going to do is get rid of the Federal Reserve System. And it's going to be made here in America. Everything, we're going to go back to a Martyria type of Martyrism type of country, where we're going to produce our own things here, and it's going to be like that, and then we'll get imports, but it isn't going to be like, we're going to have so many imports coming in from different countries that we're going to be able to make stuff here, and the job market will be available. That's what you would do as a president. If you want to get people jobs, you would make things here that we're getting over in imports, and these companies cut them a deal on taxes, because the whole thing's a fucking scam anyway, taxation and all that, because they're giving jobs out, and then you won't have all these different envies against different classes of citizens or what have you, because that's how they got it. Lower class, middle class, upper class, billion. Who gives a shit? It's not even real fucking money. None of this is real. They're not any better than us, nor are we any better than them. The only thing that makes them different than us is the actions that they are taking in a state of authority, which they have authority, and they're misusing their authority to make themselves wealthier with fake money that doesn't even count for anything. It's just so they can control people, and people allow it to happen. Even the land you live on, how many, you're going to be taxed on the land over and over and over again, and you're good with that? Look, I bought the house. This is how much the house cost. This is how much taxes I paid on the house. I'm not going to pay, you shouldn't have to pay taxes every year on something you purchased. Do they do that with your car? They're going to try to do that. I don't know, some states might try to do that, but I don't know. I've never heard anybody taxing your car every year, literally taxing the value of your car. They tax your tag. You have to have a tag to drive, which that's illegal too. It's unconstitutional. If you're traveling, you don't need to have a fucking tag, nor do you need to have a license. You need a driving license if you're driving, because it's a difference between traveling and driving. Driving, you're carrying goods. That's another story in itself. This is what I'm saying. It's one thing after another. You're not free, and neither am I. We're emancipated, and these Rothschild people, these villains, have been destroying the world for thousands of years, and no one does anything about it because they're afraid they're going to lose their money, which isn't real anyway. The whole thing's an illusion. But what is real is God's judgment. And these Luciferian, they know it's coming. And it may not be in my time, but God willing, I'm there to see it in heaven with the Lord, and to help him any way I can to bring justice back to society. Because this is so bad. And I feel bad because when I was living in Philadelphia, I think I'm going to cut this off because this video is getting long. But I'll tell you, I was living in Philadelphia, and the guys and ladies up there of color are so indoctrinated from this fucking black propaganda, African tribalism books that they read and don't realize they're in America, and that the people that really started slavery were the Rothschilds, as this man says, and other people that got along with it. We're not the Chinese. Everybody has been involved in this, and we're still not free. You're emancipated, but you're not liberated. Liberatos. And that's Latin. It means free, completely autonomous from everything. And we're not that. But you're in a society where no one just stops. Like, you don't need to go out in the streets to protest. What you need to do is stay at home. Everybody that's working, all 250 million Americans, stop work until these creatures are out of our country and out of our politics, and we decide as a whole, of all colors, all ethnicity, how is it the best way we can survive as a country and get along with each other, and where everybody can have everything and have an equal opportunity just as well as anybody else. And I don't care about what anybody says, you work hard and all that. No. This is all fake shit. And you can work as hard as you want to, but it doesn't matter unless you're seen or know somebody, or somebody's going to give you. Somebody's always higher than you. And none of this is and works. Okay? We're as communities at small levels coming together to help each other. I seen a little kid, a kid of color, he walked a little old lady across the street. Now, and because I see videos of people of color doing bad things, am I going to say, oh, I got to get the hell away from all these people? No. Certain groups of people, because they're too far gone, their mind is gone. It will take the Holy Spirit to get in them and to help them realize they're fighting the wrong person. And that's what the whole thing's all about. It's complete autonomy to have everybody at each other's throats. We all pull together. This would not be going on, I promise you. This would stop overnight, and these people would be held accountable. And you have to hold people accountable. Hey, they don't have no problem holding you accountable for anything that you do. And then at the same type of whatever the law applies to me should also apply to the richest person or whoever they are. That's why she's supposed to be wearing a blindfold, so she's not seeing who you are, But that's why the system is broken. And they're doing this intentionally. They're trying to break the system so people will give up on the system. But we're not going to give up on this, on something that's written in the Bible. Just go by the 10 Commandments, and I think everybody agrees on that. That's basic, simple norms of society. So I wish everybody the best of luck. Don't panic. Just make sure you have a few things that they're necessities, okay? You need to have some water, I recommend your Bible, your water, some flashlights with light, batteries, and some food. Get yourself some peanut butter, or get something that you could store and not have to worry about it keeping hot or cold. But water is important. I personally get a bunch of water, and I got some lemons and stuff because they're good for you. It's got vitamin C and all that other stuff. So I have lemons, and I go and get these Nature Trail bars. You get a box of them at Walmart for like $4, $3 or something, and it's not expensive. They get like 24. Some of them have 24 of them in there, and things like that. And then you're prepared. And then whatever happens, and if you have firearm, make sure you got lead. In that firearm, to let everybody know about this type of stuff. Don't be so anxious to go grab it. Okay. Some things you can sort out with your hands. Don't be so anxious to go grab that and try to do business with that. If there's more than one of these assholes, yes, I understand. But if there's some crazy person come to your house by themselves, tell them leave. I've kicked off people out of my front yard, actually off my porch. Some dude was going out there and getting my cigarette butts off. I don't know who the hell he is. You know what I mean? You want a cigarette? I'll give you one. Don't come over my house. I don't have my wife here. I don't know who the fuck you are. So anyway, I told him get on down the street. But I don't need a firearm for everything. I don't believe in it. But you're gonna have to have something to defend yourself with if things get to that crazy points. God will tell you what to do. Just listen. Take some time and listen to God. And please go check this guy out. And I'm going to do little spurts of what he's talking about because he's so enthralled in his discussions. It's long, but it's important. So it's up to you if you want to learn how to defend yourself spiritually and know the truth about our history and what's going on, so you can educate others. Or if it's too much for you, just just wait for the whole thing to implode and be unprepared. And know that you could have done something about it. But other than that, you guys have a good day. Thanks for watching, and thank you, Bishop Gaynor, for putting the word out there. God bless you and yours.